Greetings all and welcome to Esoteric Babble. Today's babbling is going to begin a discussion, a somewhat close reading of Book 7 of the Hermetica, where if we had to summarize it, Hermes tells us to wake up or to sober up, to come to our senses and begin the spiritual journey. We'll be going through the Greek, but unlike daily Pali reading, we are not going to spend a huge amount of time on the forms of the words. We might discuss the vocabulary, but I think it's better to go through the Greek because that way we can discuss our choices in understanding certain concepts. We begin with Hermou tu tris megistou, of Hermes, the thrice great. This is telling us that the following is coming from Hermes. Sometimes you'll hear Hermes tris megistus, or the thrice great. That's exactly what this means. Thrice is the three times part. Three or thrice, and megistu, like mega. 3 times great. So this comes from shouting, he is great 3 times. He's so great. And we won't talk about all the associations with maybe the Egyptian god Thoth, etc. The main thing to consider about Hermes here is that he is a Gnostic revealer. He is not asking us to believe anything, even about himself. He is asking us to do, to take action. If we have faith, if we believe in something, it is the message, it's the teaching. And belief, and this is a stance found in Buddhism, belief is what motivates us to take action. Just like if we start a diet, we have to believe it works. If we are on a diet and it doesn't work, then we can change. We don't have to keep blind allegiance to a particular path necessarily if it's shown not to be bearing fruit. But usually with the spiritual path, the understanding is, and the point of view is, that when we do take up the spiritual path, that almost right away we will start to feel that we are bringing our life, we are sort of taking right action. So that is what we can think of about Hermes. And another thing is, since he is accorded a divine being status, his message is coming to us from a supramundane, non-ordinary level of perception. Hoti megiston kakon entois anthropois he peritu theou agnosia. Now this summarizes the content of this little book. Ignorance concerning the divine is the greatest illness amongst people. Agnosia, we probably all know the word gnosis, so that has to do with knowledge. This is the opposite. This is our alpha privative here. Ignorance, the opposite of actual knowledge. It's interesting that we kind of start from this point of view. This is exactly where the dependent origination of the Buddha begins. Avidya pachaya sankhara. Due to ignorance, all things arise. So, and actually Vedanta, Shankaracharya takes a similar point of view. It's our misunderstanding. And here, Hermes is saying that we have an ignorance of theos, literally God, but I think it's better to understand this as the divine or the transcendent, something like that. The word God has so many meanings, and there's going to be an esoteric babble about that very soon. I would say here that theos, the divine, is really talking about the unconditioned. This doesn't mean ignorance of a personal God, of any kind of God with attributes. We're talking about the God that mystics are trying to have union with. We're talking about nibbana, unconditioned, non-spatial, non-temporal, and the union with which is the end of suffering. Poi fedeste o anthropoi, methiontes, tontes agnosias akraton ekpiontes, hon ude ferein dinaste, al ede auton kai emete. Where are you being swept away to, people? So this metaphor, I think, is used in many spiritual teachings. This could be like we're being swept up by waves of desire, and we are, when we don't reflect, when we don't take action to live the, quote, spiritual life, we are typically not in control of our actions, where we don't reflect upon them. Natural selection has endowed us with certain instincts and behaviors, and they sort of run the show. That's one way to think about this. And Hermes is asking us to sort of stop and take notice of this fact. In meditation, this happens very often, that we realize that our thoughts just, they don't stay where we want them to. And the issue is we go with those thoughts. They have a great power to control our reality. All of a sudden we're angry or we're anxious. So again, where are we being swept away to? And then here, for those who are really interested, we have some present participles, I should say, and these refer to anthropoi. That's the plural of anthropos, and we've probably heard words like anthropology, etc. So this is just the Greek word for people, and these participles are describing the state of people while they're being swept away. Inebriated, methiontes, ekpiontes, drinking up the unmixed alcohol of ignorance, kind of the pure alcohol, the akraton. I think the point here, the observation is what we said before, that we're in this state of not being possessed of any sort of self-control, really. And not only that, we are continuing to sort of consume more fuel that is going to even lessen our control. And now Hermes points out that that unmixed alcohol we're drinking, that pure alcohol, the pure ignorance we're consuming, we aren't able to bear it. Hon ude ferein dineste, which you're not able to bear, and already you're throwing it up. Emete, I kind of think about we're emitting it back. So we're sick. We actually can't even handle what we've consumed. We're showing signs of illness. State nepsantes. Sober up. Recover your senses. Be vigilant. Awaken. This is Hermes' main exhortation. We should notice that this is going on, and we need to come to our senses. Anablepsantes tois tes cardias ophthalmois. Looking up with the eyes of your heart. Now, this will come up later. The point here is that spiritual insight is not based upon the senses. It's not based upon seeing, hearing, etc. This is requiring a different kind of outlook. And when they talk about cardia, if you think about cardiac arrest, the heart, that's the core of our being. We want to see with the core of our being. We want to look up. And this is a metaphor, of course, like the sun is high in the sky, light is up, freedom, liberation is up. We want to look up, not down, not around at our where we presently are. Kai e me pantes dinaste hoige kai dinamenoi. And if not all of you are able, at least those who can. And so this is the last thing. This is where we're going to leave it today. We are all at different points in our journey. We should not be judgmental of others who cannot maybe right now immediately make a switch or maybe have no interest. If we are able, we should do so. We don't have to wait on others. We don't have to condemn others. We can sort of be lights for others. We can be kind, and hopefully our actions will cause others also to be kinder and to start to embark upon this kind of journey.